Hello class. Today we continue our study on the 5 themes of geography. This is our second unit of study. In order to understand geography, we must first define it. Geography is defined as the study of the earth. Why do we study geography? Because it affects where people live, it affects how people live, and it affects the outcome of different events. In a word, it helps us to understand the culture of a place. There are 5 themes of geography: location, movement, region, place, and human-environment interaction. The first theme of geography is location. There are 2 types of location, absolute and relative. What does location tell you? Location pretty much tells us where it is. Absolute location is found by using 2 specific line types, latitude and longitude. We'll talk about that in just a second. Absolute location is found by using, as I said, those 2 specific line types of latitude and longitude. And it describes the exact spot on Earth. It tells us exactly where it is. Absolute location is found by using 2 types of imaginary lines, and it can also be found by a street address. Relative location, however, describes the position of a place in relation to another place. When we talk about relative location, we're talking about describing a location by using landmarks. For example, Durant Road Middle School is directly across the street from Big Apple Bagels. Now, our Earth is divided into 2 hemispheres. Hemisphere means half of a globe. It's defined into the northern and southern part. Now, let's look a little bit more at those lines of latitude and longitude that we discussed earlier. Latitude lines are drawn east to west. However, they measure north to south. They're drawn east to west, but they measure north to south. The major line of latitude is the equator. Longitude lines, however, are drawn north to south and measure east to west. The major line of longitude is the prime meridian. The prime meridian divides the earth north to south. In order to remember that, remember this little song. The lat lines are the flat lines, the lines of latitude, the lines of flatitude. Hey, I never said I was a singer. Second theme of geography is movement. Movement describes how people are linked to each other. Movement is pretty much answering the question, how do people and ideas get around? It describes how people in one area keep in contact with the other. There are different examples of movement. We can move products, we can move ideas, we move people and their personal stuff. We can move things around by word of mouth, computers and satellite and telephones. Movement of ideas, I've listed how you move ideas. Products are moved in this manner. Okay, the third theme of geography is region. Region describes what locations have in common. When we talk about region, we're describing either a big or a small place. And we can find an area that's specific to that region, like the coastal region or the mountainous region of North Carolina. The fourth theme of geography is place. Place is what is it like? Each place on Earth has its own distinct characteristics. The 2 types are human or physical. Just remember that it's something that makes it different than any other place in the world. Now, there's 2 types of distinguishing features when we talk about place. The first is human and the second is physical. Physical features, I'll do that one first. They include landforms and any kind of bodies of water that are found on the earth, whereas human distinctions include language, food, customs, ethnicity, and that type of information. The one thing that students always confuse is the difference between location and place. What is the difference between location and place? Remember the word describe. The last theme of geography is human-environment interaction. Pretty much, how do we interact with our environment? It explains how people use and change their environment. Now, there are several things that people do to change the environment, and it's always a question that we need to answer. So remember, in talking about human-environment interaction, ask yourself 3 questions. How do humans depend on the environment? How do they adapt to the environment? And how do they modify, or how do they change the environment? How do they change it when they come over here? Do they build irrigation systems, or do they cut down trees so they can have more space? Okay, if you cannot remember the 5 themes of geography, I have something to help you. How can I remember? Think about Mr. Help. M stands for movement. R stands for region. HE, well, that would be human-environment interaction, or HEI. L stands for location. And of course, the last one is place.